Thank y'all for tuning in. I'm Peanut Tillman, and this is the NFL Players Second Acts podcast. And with me, as always, is my guy, Roman, Mr. Rogers, Harper. What's up, baby?
What's up, baby? That's a general welcoming, so I'll take that today.
No,
it's good. No,
look with the sweater and all that.
I
The
appreciate
leg
that.
is crossed like Mr. Rogers.
It's a good look.
You got the good posture going on, like a grandpa and stuff. So I like it.
I'm trying. Thank you. Introduce our guest. I'm really excited about this one too, I want to jump right into something.
All right, so this gentleman played 13 seasons for the Giants, the 49ers, and the Broncos. Won 3 Super Bowls, but he's got 4 Super Bowl rings.
Yes.
He's high school, college, youth sports, a.k.a. Ed Easy, a.k.a. Eddie Mack, a.k.a. White Lightning. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the pod, Ed McCaffrey, to the show.
Ed McCaffrey.
Thank you.
I mean, I think we could say one other thing. The man has literally blessed the NFL with multiple children of the NFL as well.
Yes.
So he's just the guy that continues to give. Mr. Ed McCaffrey, welcome to the show. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here. I'm thrilled to be here with you guys.
Yeah,
man.
I didn't realize it was. I think so. You retired in 2003. My first year was 2003. I think I don't remember the exact of what you did in the game or what I did in the game, but we came up there, Chicago, my rookie year, and I remember being so out of breath. And I don't know how y'all got used to playing in Colorado. I remember just dying. I was dead the whole game.
Yeah, it's true. They have signs all over the stadium. They have oxygen tanks hooked up there.
Really?
They're trying to get in your head. It does
know that.
affect some people. First time I went to a mini camp there, it affected me that first day.
Yeah.
It's just tough to breathe. But I've lived there for so long. I'm used to it now. But they get in your head. They remind you you're a mile high and the oxygen is thin.
Oh my God, it's
yeah.
real.
Even just walking down the street, you will get more tired if you're not used to the elevation.
Yeah.
The first time I went out there, I definitely felt it. It felt different. Trying to play out there, I never won in Denver either. So maybe that had something to do with it. At least I'll blame it that. Now, what I want to talk to you about, Ed, is this ring you're wearing.
Yeah.
This is the big boy too. Now this is your 4th out of, you won 3 as a player with 2 with Denver, 1 with the 49ers.
And I apologize for wearing this. I didn't put the connection with you two guys having played in this game. So I can tell how this interview is going to go right off the bat. So yeah, this is from Super Bowl 50.
Yes.
I did a whole lot to earn this ring, fellas.
What was that?
I talked about the game on the radio for about 3.5 hours as a broadcaster for Denver Broncos radio. But I was at the game. It's the reason I wear this is I do have the other 3, but they're locked up in a safety deposit box. If I were to lose one, it's going to have to be this one because I can replace it.
No doubt.
But I'm still proud that, John Elway
Yeah.
got me my first 2 rings with the Broncos.
Yeah,
I
correct.
got one with the 49ers before that. But then he was also the general manager who approved giving the broadcast team rings.
I like
And I don't know
that.
if you knew that, but
No.
they give the broadcast teams rings. And so we were, calling games at different stadiums across the country, and all the other radio broadcast teams would walk in and they'd kind of clink their hand on the desk, and we're looking over there like, we don't have one of those. Dave Logan and I, the play-by-play voice of the Broncos, who played in the league for a long time as well, did not have a ring. And so John Elway decided, probably more for Dave than for me, that it was important to give the broadcast team rings. And so there you have it. But again, I don't want to bring back any bad memories or have one of you guys take me out.
No bad memories. No bad memories.
Okay.
No, I would love to know, from when you're calling that game, Super Bowl 50, Denver was clearly the underdog in that game. What was your feelings? How are you going about calling that game when all of a sudden Denver's got the momentum? Denver's really handling their business in that game. How were you doing it as a broadcaster, knowing that you had kind of been in these similar situations when you were, as a player, winning the Super Bowl, and then all of a sudden seeing your team that you're calling the game for go out there and play as they were playing that day?
Yeah, I had the utmost respect for the Carolina Panthers. What a phenomenal team you guys had. It was really unbelievable. Offense, defense, and my son Christian ended up playing for the team next year. So, as you know, which he didn't know at the time. He was actually in a Broncos jersey during that game, and then a year later, because he was a big fan of Terrell Davis.
Of course.
He grew up rooting for the Broncos. The next year, you see a picture, and he's playing with the Panthers. So it was pretty crazy. But, you had such a good team. It was unbelievable. But the Broncos defense was also pretty phenomenal. And that was a season, such a bizarre season. Peyton Manning was a starter, then he got benched for a long time because of either injury or production, but he chomped at the bit. There was a funny episode that happened during the year where Gary Kubiak would watch him work out every morning, and after a couple of weeks of not starting, and Brock Osweiler did a great job of coming in and getting some wins to help get him there, but Peyton flipped off the camera knowing Gary Kubiak was watching his film in the morning, and that was kind of the sign after, Brock had a little bit of a struggle in a game in the end of the regular season to bring Peyton back, and he didn't put up great numbers, but he led the team to victory. He did what he had to do. They had a good run game, but that defense was phenomenal. They were flying around Von Miller, obviously, DeMarcus Ware. They had a really good team, and so you could argue that defense, and I guess Von was the MVP of the game, right? You could argue that defense was able to match the offensive power of what Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers had.
I definitely think if we didn't have, or if they didn't have the defense that they had, we totally would have won that game. I mean, I don't want to do the what if game.
Yeah.
That's
what's so
your
tough,
defense
right?
was. Oh man, they were great. Defense wins games.
And do you guys go back and replay plays in your head and think we're one play away from winning, two plays, and you look at the film, and I do that. I still have PTSD from last year's 49ers loss to the Chiefs. Like, I didn't even play. My son's playing, so it means more to me than anyone. And I just see so many different plays on offense, defense, special teams. That could have been made that would have been the difference in the game. And sometimes the games are that close. Yeah. And that was a close game. Yeah. And it's tough because you can have a great team, like you guys had, a great team. Not good, great. And when you come up a little bit short, it's just so tough. It doesn't take anything away from the players that played in the game or how great they were or the successful careers they had. But it's just so tough to get to the game to begin with.
Yes.
Yeah. And then to win it is even tougher. Yeah. And that's why... I mean, last year, you probably never get over it. I remember all of our losses, and luckily I didn't lose the Super Bowl, but we lost playoff games. Yeah, and it's tough. So I still replay that game last year in my head.
Yeah, so I had the good fortune of going to last year's Super Bowl, and I happened to just sit next to John Elway watching the game. And it was like all the Hall of Famers and the Man of the Year winners, and we're all in this suite. And my daughters have no idea who John Elway is, and I'm sitting here like, that's John Elway. Like, do you know who? And they're just like, Dad, they were more geeked out about like the A-list celebrities of Kim Kardashian and whatnot. But I had the good fortune of sitting next to John Elway, and he's all about the teams and everybody else. And my question to you is, having been to the game, having won at the highest level 3 times, and you have the 4th ring, what did you talk about with your son about like the loss of that game?
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, we met right after the game.
Yeah.
Before we even went to see the rest of the team or friends and family. We sat down for about an hour just kind of debriefing. It's like you do have PTSD. It's like you just finished a battle. You've been competing the whole time. You know how it is after the game, you're getting interviewed and you're staying strong, and then afterwards you just have to let it out. And it was very frustrating. As a father, I love him no matter what, win, lose, or draw. And I just let him know that. He no regrets, man. I mean, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but if you prepared the right way and you left it out all on the field, that's all you can ever do, and that's all you can ever ask of yourself as a man. So I know he does that every time he takes the field, and he can hold his head up high, but it doesn't take away from the pain of defeat.
Okay, so word on the street is that you are an all-time great at being a prankster.
Me?
You.
Oh, no. Not me.
That's not what I'm hearing. So, we have this. We've heard this story through the grapevine. I guess back in the day, you called Claude Lemieux and Bill Romanowski. You and your wife. You had your wife in on this prank where you guys are going to be the water company, and that you called them and said, "We're here to check your water pressure at the house, and that I need you to cut on all the faucets in your house and flush the toilets at the same time." Now, this is a great prank.
Honestly, that is a true story, but I don't think of myself as a prankster. I'm usually I'm a retaliatory prankster. Like if someone pulled a prank on me, I will retaliate unless I think they have more time on their hands than I do, in which case I will not engage in that battle.
Okay.
Yeah, but that is, Lisa is probably more the prankster than I am.
Oh, really? The wife?
She's funny and energetic, and she obviously has more energy than I do. So it was probably her idea, but I did partake.
Okay. All right. So we got it cleaned up. So retaliatory prankster.
Yes. Sometimes, like there's some people that you don't mess with them.
Yeah, because they got too much time.
Yeah, like the 3rd string quarterback on the team.
Oh yeah, you don't want that.
You're not so special teams player. No, you're not messing with them because they got all day long to think up of something, and they'll follow through with it. So, but if it's those guys, I wasn't too afraid of those guys doing anything creative back to me.
What's one of the best all-time pranks? So I respect the I play pranks all the time. Like I'm here for it. I think that's why I was put on this earth, is to punch out footballs and to prank people.
That is true.
It is hilarious. I think it's the
Well,
funniest.
let me just say, it is an honor to meet you. I don't know what it feels like to have an actual defensive technique named after you, but I've been coaching football for over 20 years, and every single team I played for, we taught them the peanut punch.
Oh, man.
I know you know that. I'm sure people tell you that all the time.
Yes, sir.
But it's kind of cool. I'm like, wait a minute. I've been teaching this technique for 20 years, and now I'm sitting down here doing interviews. It's pretty cool.
He goes on the road too, so he's a traveling show. If you ever need him,
I've put together so many different highlight clips of all the plays that you made.
No,
it's pretty incredible.
That.
So
Thank you.
and so anyway, it's a thrill. So where are we going with the pranks? The funniest prank I ever saw was done by somebody that I know. I'm not giving up names.
Okay.
But there was like a charity basketball game going on. They used to do those back in the day.
Yeah.
They frown upon them now, I think. They don't want guys getting hurt. But this particular person dressed up in a mascot outfit. And he dressed in the mascot outfit, showed up to the high schools, the high school's mascot. And it was the 49ers were playing. And the mascot was a Panther. And he dressed up in a Panthers outfit. So nobody knew who he was except for two people in the stands.
Okay.
And he was rebounding for the 49ers team. And he was kind of joking with them, slapping on the backside, throwing the ball at their feet, like really aggravating them to no end. And they had no idea it was him. But you're at a charity event, so if you're a pro player,
you're best behavior.
I can't it's a high school kid. What am I going to do? And he's throwing it at their feet, and he's throwing the ball away, and he's like blocking their shot and patting them. And they're getting so frustrated. And finally, one of the players on the team walked over and said, whispered to him, "Hey, look, man, you better stop this right now or we're going to have a problem." And so, and he's probably thinking that's a high school kid, but he's messing with them so badly. And they videotaped it, never made it public, but they videotaped it.
Right.
We cried laughing so many times watching this prank. But I mean, that when you put a mascot outfit on and you don't stop moving and you're just doing what you got to do for the whole, he must have done it for 2 hours. And it was, oh man, it was hilarious. So the amount, those are the guys you don't mess with. Someone that's willing to plan out something like that and spend a couple of hours following through. I'm not going to get in a prank battle with that guy.
I like that.
Yeah.
that is you, Peanut.
That's me all day.
So I got to know something. So, Ed, I knew you growing up. I watched you play. I knew you were a wide receiver with the Giants. You stood out to me because you were the guy that didn't wear gloves. All right?
Yeah.
You weren't a big glove guy. I have a picture of you right here.
Uh-oh.
You're in gloves.
Okay.
All right, which is totally not how I imagine you. But the other part of this picture, though, is what's up with this this neck roll you wore?
Yeah.
Your rookie year.
You went way back in the archives.
Your rookie year. Ed McCaffrey, neck roll.
Do you know how much grief I got from all the other receivers in the
I was wondering.
You should have.
Every
no
game
one,
they're like
no one
this.
did that, though.
What are you doing, man?
Yeah. What was?
Well,
Did you have a neck injury?
Yes.
Okay.
So
It still doesn't look like it helps.
so that was before I started That was before I got cut by the Giants and started shedding all my gear and lightening up. So this was, believe it or not, I never played special teams in my life until the NFL. So the first time I ever had to play on kickoff coverage was for the New York Giants, which was a blessing. But at the same time, it's like, wait, my first attempt at playing special teams is going to be in the NFL. And so I ran down on kickoff. And back in the day, you're trying to bust up a wedge or something.
Ooh,
I tweaked my neck. And Ronnie Barnes, who is still the head athletic trainer for the New York Football Giants, was an incredible trainer. But I jacked my neck up, and he was serious. He's like, yeah, you don't have to wear the neck roll. I'm like, good, but you won't take the field. And so he made me wear that neck roll. I'm like, please don't make me wear that neck roll. I know my neck's sore, but he, looking back, he did care about the health and safety of his players, and I got much respect for Ronnie Barnes. He'll be a future Hall of Fame trainer in the NFL. He's been there a long time. But anyway, I got a lot of grief from everybody that I played against. Regarding the gloves, they didn't have NFL receiving gloves.
Yeah, that's true.
They didn't make them.
Was it the Newmans? Is that what you said?
So, well, in the beginning, they had you wore like baseball gloves, but they don't have tack on them.
Right.
So they get wet or slippery, and it's worse than not having any gloves at all. And I remember the first time I got any kind of glove that kind of works, it would get freezing in New York. You'd get some really cold games at the end of the year. I grew up in Pennsylvania, so I was used to the cold, but I just got done graduating from Stanford where the weather's perfect every day. Didn't need gloves at all. But Stephen Baker, the touchdown maker, back in the day, went to Home Depot and bought, they're like the rubber gloves that used to mix chemicals.
Yeah.
And they had more tack on them than what the baseball gloves did. So I do remember when it was, wind chill below zero, there's a couple games where I put those on just because I was freezing. But I had much better feel without the gloves. So it'd have to be pretty cold for me to throw some gloves on.
Well, I always wanted to know. Thank you for that. This is what I knew you as the guy that didn't wear gloves. I'm like, who's the white wide receiver with the arms out and no gloves?
And when it's humid, like East Coast, there's humidity. So my hands were tacky. And then when I got to Denver in the Mile High City, it's a little drier. And that was the first place where I'm like, and they made better gloves.
Right.
And so once they made the better gloves with the thin air, I started wearing them a little more frequently.
So when did you start to shred all the equipment? Because I know you were like the trendsetter for like having like the small pads. And was that, were you in San Francisco or was that when you were in Denver?
Well, it was in Denver. It started in San Francisco, but then it finished up in Denver. So when I went to New York, I'm a rules guy. Like they're telling you got to wear your pads.
You didn't wear knee pads.
Like I had thigh pads. I had knee pads. I'm wearing gloves, the neck roll. They still didn't hem the jerseys up. I was a little ahead of my time because like I started taking it upon myself to cut my jerseys and tighten them up. But back then, you remember, they still had the wide sleeves and everything. You guys are old enough to remember that at least.
Oh, yeah.
Seen pictures, right? Yeah. And so, in New York, I went through 3 head coaches in 3 years, basically. Bill Parcells stepped down with a heart issue. He was the coach that drafted me. Ray Hanley ended up getting fired. They hired Dan Reeves, and then Dan Reeves brought in all of his own guys, which a lot of coaches do, and I wasn't one of them that he wanted to keep. So I was told there was enough receivers in camp, and I had a pretty good year. I led the team in receiving my second year, but new coach, new team, new players, the whole deal. And so I got cut. I don't know if you guys ever get cut?
One time.
Okay, it's a tough experience, right? And it was only my 3rd year in the league, so it's pretty early.
Yes.
To get cut, and I'm thinking it was right before camp too, and some teams had already started camp.
Correct.
And so it was pretty stressful. And the little index card that the broadcasters put together, and I was a broadcaster, I tried not to do it and pigeonhole people, but it's slow. That was on my card, and whatever 40 time they got, like I ran a 4.38. You could watch film and tell I wasn't like 4.78 or whatever they were putting on my card. I'm like, oh, they're killing me with the speed thing. But I'm like, what? If people think I'm slow, I'm gonna get faster. And in addition to training to get faster, what can I do? Well, I'm going to shed about 8 pounds of equipment. So no thigh pads, no knee pads, no extra material, no extra equipment. Went down, dropped a size in shoulder pads. I had to wear a helmet. So I had a helmet and shoulder pads, and that was it. And I'm thinking, if these other dudes are lugging around another 8 pounds of equipment, that immediately makes me faster. And at that point, I'm like, I'm not concerned about my body at all. I got to make a team.
Right.
So like my season was training camp.
Yeah. So
like I'm going into training camp like this is the Super Bowl. And so I did make a conscious decision, though, to try out for a team I thought could win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So, they had a handful of teams interested, and I went and tried out for the 49ers. And they were a team that had a shot at winning a Super Bowl. And I got to camp, and it's Jerry Rice and John Taylor and 2 other receivers who made the team the year before, about 14 receivers in camp. And, so I'm competing to back up Jerry Rice. It only took 4 receivers. I don't know how many teams in the history of the league only take 4 receivers, but that's all we took on the team. And all 4 of them were back from the year before. And then, so I'm backing up Jerry, and I'm going against Deion Sanders every day in practice. And I'm thinking, this is how I'm going to make the team, right? Like having to compete with Jerry and having to beat Deion Sanders in practice. And so I tried to do everything humanly possible to compete. So I lost every bit of equipment. I found a pair of shoulder pads in the college equipment room that were like probably their punter's pads from the 1960s. I could show them to you. You'd laugh at them. You would never let anybody you care about wear these pads.
I tried to look it up. The kind that you had.
They're about this big. But you know what? Trendsetter. Like I missed my calling because now even D linemen, how small are their pads?
Everybody wears small pads.
Right. So that's what I was wearing just before it became trendy. And then regarding the uniform, I would cut every little, and I was a little superstitious about this. Eventually, every game that I played, once I started doing it, I had to at least cut off a little bit of material. So mentally, I'm a little bit lighter than the week before. I hate it when we wore new uniforms. When hey, we probably got a new uniform for this week. I'm like, no, I got to do a lot of work to trim that thing down. If you're going to give us a new uniform.
So you were cutting uniforms every week?
Yeah.
So did you have it hemmed or anything, or you just cut the jersey?
Well, yeah, I would do whatever they would let me get away with. So a lot of, sometimes you get a flag back then if your pants were too high. I did get fined for showing too much skin because I try to, have the pants used to come below your knee with the knee pad. I mean, think about it. Nobody wants to run around in that. So, I slowly started hemming the pants up a little bit. At one point, I sewed the socks to the pants, so they just hung from the pants, and then wore regular socks and kind of put a piece of tape around them. And then with the jersey, back in the day, they make good equipment now, but back in the day, you had 2 layers of padding, like on your shoulder pads, because, you know, the equipment managers don't want to hem up your jerseys every time there's a hole in it. So there'd be a layer and then another layer under that, and they'd be heavy. So I would just cut out all the second layers out of my pants. Like, if you're not wearing thigh pads and knee pads, what do you need the things that hold the thigh pads and knee pads? So they were just like tights, and then cut out all the extra material out of the jersey. And I'll tell you what, I felt lighter. I really did feel lighter, even if it was mental. We're talking like a couple pounds maybe.
Yeah.
But mentally, I felt way better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It worked.
I want to know what it was like being on that 49ers team. I grew up a 49ers fan. That was a great year to be a 49ers fan. Deion Sanders comes in from free agency. Steve Young gets the monkey off his back winning the Super Bowl. Jerry Rice puts up monster numbers, which he was used to doing. Just what was it like being on that team? Being in that same wide receiver room with the great of Jerry Rice, and you weren't there long at all. But then I totally forgot you were competing against Deion Sanders, just trying to make the team.
Yeah. No, it was a turning point in my career. I'm so glad I believed in myself and tried out to make that team. You know, I had to ask my agent to get me a tryout. Like, I just want to get in camp and try to prove myself. And I would love it to win a Super Bowl. How cool would that be? Because I had just gotten cut. So I played for the league minimum, $136,000, right? And I'm like, I don't care about money. Just get me on that team. Give me a chance to compete to make that team, because it was not going to be easy. And it was an unbelievable experience. Steve Young embraced me right away, was totally cool to me. Bart Oates was with the New York Giants. He was there. Harris Barton, literally.
Yeah, the O-lineman.
Yeah, Harris Barton let me live at his house until I had a place until I made the team.
Yeah.
Brent Jones was cool. William Barnum Floyd was my roommate.
Barnum.
He was a rookie that year, but he was a great player. Yeah, and
So he gave himself that name.
Even better.
Yeah.
Even better.
And then, just going against Deion. It was a great team. Jesse Sapola. I mean, so many of those guys I still keep in touch with to this day. I was there 7 months. And we won a Super Bowl. And I got there late in training camp. We won a Super Bowl and signed with Denver, like a month later.
Yeah.
But I still have friends to this day from that team. And it was such a professionally run organization. And I give Eddie DeBartolo credit for that, and Jed York now. They treated their players the right way. They practiced the right way. It was the first team I ever played for that had shells. I'm like, what are shells? I'd only practice in full pads all the time. Yeah. Helmet, we win. You have helmet day? Helmet day on Friday, just a helmet. I'm like, that was new. That was innovative. I came from a place where we went full pads every day and had 2 live scrimmages a week in training camp. Wow. Live scrimmages. Where
all the way to the ground.
Guys like you be taking people out over the middle.
For sure.
And there's no flag you're celebrating because there's no refs either. I'm like, oh, man, what is going on? So I just couldn't believe it. They fed them right. They treated them right. They traveled first class. The players there expected to win Super Bowls. That was the expectation. And I was around a bunch of Hall of Famers and a bunch of great coaches. And they had won Super Bowls. Yeah. And so that was, for me, that's the first time I got to experience that. It was just such a different feel than New York. Now, New York had just won a Super Bowl right before I got there. So they were good. It was Bill Belichick, defensive coordinator, Parcells head coach. And they had a lot of 30-plus-year-old players, probably the oldest team in the league. But then by the time I left there, a lot of those guys had retired or moved on. But that was a phenomenal team as well. But it was a different experience in San Francisco, and it was really tough to make that team. I bet you, if we could go back behind closed doors, I barely made that team. Yeah. But the reason it was a different experience is because I remember walking out to practice one day, and I had sprained my ankle, and it was killing me. We were doing all kinds of crazy stuff, like rubbing emu oil on it.
They still do the emu.
Still do that to this day.
Still got the emu.
So
Still
we broke
to
out
this
the
day.
emu back in 1994. and maybe it was before that. I don't know. DMSO with some cortisone cream. Anyway, we were doing everything. But, you're competing against the most accomplished receiver. I'm not trying to beat him out, but I'm just trying to hang, show that I belong with Jerry Rice, and then going against Deion Sanders every day. And I'm like, I got to beat him and show that I can do something in practice every day. And I remember walking out to practice, just kind of limping a little bit with the ankle. It was taped up, like spatted so thick. It was like a cast. And I'm walking out there thinking, okay, there's 14 receivers here, all 4 from the year before here. It's like 122 degrees in Rockland, California. I was like, I'm going against Deion again today. And I just started laughing, like, man, like I don't even care anymore. Like I'm gonna win the day. Like win one route, beat Deion on a slant route. I'll talk about it to my 2-month-old son Max for the rest of his life. That's what he's gonna hear about. Maybe that's my NFL career. I don't know. I'm not worried about making the team. Not worried about money. I love football. This might be my last day. And I just started laughing, and I literally physically stood up straighter. Yeah. And felt lighter. And walked out. I'm like, I feel different. Like just letting all of that go. Stop stressing. Stop pressing. just whatever happens, happens. And, you know, to me, that was kind of a flashpoint in my career. I became a better player just because I stopped pressing as much and went on. You know, luckily I was on some great teams and we won 3 Super Bowls in the next 5 years. And it was just a miraculous run. But it all started with getting cut. And then it all started with just me being able to surrender to whatever happens, happens. Let me control what I can control.
Yes.
My attitude, my effort. I'm going to do the best that I can, and whatever happens, happens. And it's almost not even up to me anymore. I don't know. It was a changing point in my life.
Yeah, so being in San Francisco for the 7 months, you got there late in training camp, and then you go to Denver. You change your number from 81 to 87. You go to Denver, and you become that dude. You know, you make the Pro Bowl. You had 3 straight seasons of 1,000 yards. You're an integral part of that organization to help them win 2 Super Bowls. Did you take what you learned in San Francisco with you to Denver?
Yeah, I think we're always learning. I mean, everything that happened to me leading up to my career in Denver helped me become the player that I eventually became. And so, you know, I took lessons that I learned in New York. I took lessons that I learned in San Francisco. I did copy Jerry Rice, like the way he ran some of his routes.
Mm-hmm. Why would you not?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just going to take whatever I can from him and just watch him on film. And one of the things he was really, really good at is getting off the line fast. He was the first one off the line every time. He timed the snap count perfectly. So even if you were faster than him, when you looked at the tape, he was 5 yards down the field quicker than you were. And so I'm like, I'm going to be as fast as I can off the line. Another thing he did really well, he was so good at running through the catch. So he would catch it and turn upfield instantly. You know, so he'd run like a shallow cross and catch it and be gone. And he'd turn so many 6-yard routes into 60-yard touchdowns because he was so good at running through the catch. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to get a little better at running through the catch. The way he ran his comeback route, so 20 yards back down your stem at a 45-degree angle to 18. But he would not just run it like it's drawn up in the book. He'd run it and bend a little bit to the post sometimes, or like fake like it's a go route and then come back, sometimes look over his shoulder. I'm like, he runs his comeback routes 3 different ways. And I'm like, okay, I never felt like I had the autonomy to do that. I wasn't allowed to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it's working for him. So I actually learned from him before I got there, because we played, when I was with the Giants, we played against him in a playoff game in San Francisco. And I was watching his film before we played him and stole how he ran his comeback route and got open against them in the game. And so, you know, I learned a lot just by watching how hard he competed, how he ran his routes, how he conditioned in the off season, and I took whatever I could, like we all do, right? You learn whatever you can and you take it with you to try to become better. And then I got to Denver, I was betting on myself again. Like they had a couple of first-round draft picks as receivers, and it was kind of Rod Smith and I.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was coming off the practice squad, and I just signed with the team, and we were competing, but it almost felt like I was a rookie all over again, because now I'm getting a chance to compete, but I'm definitely starting out as a backup, and Rod and I would only get in like on run plays, and they'd make us block. But that was, again, because I had kind of surrendered already, I'm like, I'm just going to be the best I can be. And Rod and I had so much fun blocking. Yeah. Like that, as a receiver, you're not known for your blocking, right? But that's the only way we got on film. And our goal was to get our head coach, Mike Shanahan, to notice us on film, whether it was in a scrimmage, we used to scrimmage back then, and whether it was in a game. It's like, we want in front of the team when they're breaking down the film, us to have a deke leader. And it wasn't enough to just block. We were looking for deke leaders. Like, we have to knock someone on the ground to get noticed. And if the head coach stopped the film and rewound it and showed it to the whole team, that was the best thing that could happen to us at the time. And then we'd have bets in games, because you know how it is with backup receivers. A lot of people don't know this, but some of those guys are never getting the ball. You're in on run plays and you're clear outs. You guys probably knew who they were when they got in the game.
Decoy.
Run play.
Yeah.
Decoy route. He's not getting the ball.
Right.
We'd be like rabbit alert.
Right.
Because we know they're not throwing the ball.
So that was me. And I'm like, okay, well, here we go. And we'd have little side bets like $5 for every deke leader. And we get a couple a game. And we'd get our chance. And then eventually, right, when you're doing so well in the run game, the coaches maybe accidentally leave you in.
Yeah, they throw you a ball.
And then you catch a pass. And you're like, all right, You got to take advantage of that opportunity if they throw you a pass.
Right.
But then all of a sudden you make a couple plays. Maybe you weren't even supposed to be making plays, but you did. And now they feel more comfortable leaving you in. And so it was really cool. Rod was such an incredible teammate, but we climbed the ranks together, even though he was coming off the practice squad like as a second-year guy, and I was a fourth-year guy at the time, going in my 5th year in Denver. it felt like I was starting all over again. And then that was the beginning of a really good run for us on the Denver Broncos. And we had a lot of fun. But I think it started with guys like Rod and some of my other teammates to go along with John Elway and Hall of Fame type caliber players for us to be able to put those teams together. But I was having fun. And, you know, sometimes it doesn't seem like fun. Sometimes you're working so hard and you want it so bad, you start pressing. But it was, again, me just being able to surrender. I'm a backup. They put me on a run play. So what am I going to do about it? Let's have some fun blocking.
You know, you lead me right into where we wanted to talk about, which is the big block you made in Super Bowl XXXII versus the linebacker. His name was Brian Williams. And
he's a heck of a player, too.
Great player. Yeah. But what a block. I mean,
thank you.
First of all, that's 2 penalties in today's NFL.
30 yards of penalties.
No doubt about it. It's the
I might have got ejected. Yeah.
And then the point, which, what did you say?
All legal.
Back. Yes, all very much
I was a rules guy.
Legal.
I was a rules guy.
You said that. You
if it was illegal back then, I would not have done it. But yeah, and in his defense, he was a linebacker. He was a pretty big dude, and he didn't see me coming, so it made the block a whole lot easier. But I will never tell.
The Super Bowls did the $5 go up to $10. I think they should have went up, right?
By that time, Rod and I were starting, and we didn't have to worry about those bets. Yeah.
Okay.
We were just worried about wins at that point.
Okay. But I want you to take me through that play, and what exactly did you say to him? Or did you say anything?
Yeah, you know, I was so concerned. You know, if crack back blocks or peel back blocks were legal, that would be on the teach tape.
No doubt.
Right? Because so I'm so careful to make sure I get my head around, hit him in the front, and not from behind, because I don't want to get a penalty. Howard Griffith caught a pass out of the backfield, and I just kind of peeled back literally and tried to help out and get a block. So it worked out great. I don't know. It was instinctual. Like, I didn't plan a point.
Right.
You know, you never even know if that block's going to happen. It just, I don't know. I got caught up in the emotion of the game. It just kind of happened.
Okay. All right. I just want to
know.
know.
I've been asked many times, but I'll never tell what I said.
I have an idea what he said. We're not going to repeat it, but yeah, I definitely have
It was
an
all
idea.
G-rated.
Absolutely, it was G-rated. Who says R-rated stuff on the football field, right? My question to you is, you've got 3 Super Bowls. You've been to one. You've got one. I've lost one. Whatever. That's another story for another day.
You lost 2, Peanut.
Be quiet. Be quiet. Why you do that?
It's just
why you do that?
I want to be honest with Ed.
Ed don't need to know that.
You won 2 conference championships.
Yes,
that is
I won.
That is good.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
I used to not think that way, but I have recently.
Thank
after
you.
last
I'm gonna
year.
start.
Yeah.
I received that.
It is not easy to win a conference championship.
Yes, sir. You are
very
correct.
difficult to do.
I'm gonna start receiving that.
Yep.
Having won 3 Super Bowls, what did that do for your career? Like, what was that mindset after you got the third one?
It made my life living in Colorado like a dream.
Yeah. In what way?
Because people are so cool to me. I go to the grocery store. People are saying hello, talking about the 1990s when we won Super Bowl 32 and 33. The Broncos organization treats me really well. It creates these lifelong memories that you get to take with you for the rest of your life. But it also created a bond, not just with your teammates and the players that you played with and your coaches, but almost the community. And it was especially cool because it was the first championship the Denver Broncos ever won.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they had lost a lot of Super Bowls, and the fan base was, how do I say, not very confident that we were going to beat the Packers when we went into that game as 14-point underdogs. And so I've gotten a better appreciation for lifelong fans because of our ability to win Super Bowl 32. There were, fathers and sons who had been going to games for 30 years, and some of them were like, my father passed and couldn't make this one, but he would be so happy if he was here to witness. And so the game of football is obviously about playing the game, but for fans, it's like it unites family members and friends, and they create memories rooting for their favorite teams. The people that work in the community that run restaurants and bars or are doing the valet or the parking or cleaning the stadium, like so many people's lives are invested in these games. And it was such a thrill for so many people. And I feel like I meet a new person almost every other day that I had never met before. And we have this common bond of having shared that experience together. And I don't know, for me, it's cool. I never envisioned that when I was a little kid dreaming of catching touchdowns and Super Bowls or making plays. I never thought about like when you're retired and not playing anymore. I never thought I'd get to as old as I am right now. I mean, when I was a kid, like the average age is 56 for NFL football players. I'm like, all right, that's me now. I didn't plan on getting this far. But I never thought about like just how cool it is to share that bond with people.
Yeah.
Just in everyday life. You know, mailing a letter, going to the grocery store, at a movie theater, you name it. It's like every other day I run into somebody, and they are so cool to me, and I'm so appreciative of them.
That's kind of how Chicago fans are, like you said about the father and the son. I didn't really, just to piggyback what you're saying, I didn't feel that. I got injured one day, and I never had a chance to tailgate. So I got injured. I'm on IR. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go tailgating. So I go hang out with some fans, and I eat the food, and we're celebrating. And it's like, oh, we've been doing this since 1945. My dad, this and that. And so, yeah, I completely get what you're saying.
Was that a cool experience?
It was a great experience,
wasn't it? Yeah.
It was a great experience because it allowed you, a player, to connect with those fans on a level that I'd never thought I would ever dream of. I just thought about playing football. Now it's like, well, wait, I'm a fan with the fans. Like this is.
And when you were playing, it would have been too crazy because you'd have had like 100,000 people wanting to get your autograph and take pictures and everything.
Absolutely.
But it's like once you retire and you step back. And I was thinking about that the other day. Like when you're playing, you're in it.
Yeah.
Like you're competing. You don't really, I don't know, I didn't have time to reflect on any successes or even failures. Like you're still in it. You're still competing. But then years later, you can sit back and kind of appreciate the good times.
Absolutely.
And then maybe, interact with the fans at a level that you wouldn't do when you were a player. I know that's what's happened for me. And so I'm glad you got to have that experience.
It was great.
Yeah.
Absolutely great.
Yeah.
I just think it's so cool. And I'd love to hear if you've had the chance to do this. So, whenever Super Bowl week happens, all on the NFL Network, they always replay all the Super Bowls, the 30-minute cut-ups, this, that, and other. And my oldest son, who's in second grade now, really, he just figured out that like his dad was like a real baller back in the day, and he thinks it's the coolest thing ever. And they had Super Bowl 44 where we won, and just seeing me on TV, like in a jersey, because he was not an age where he actually could remember that, and to see that, sharing those moments with your kids, what is that moment like as they continue to grow? Like, what does that do for them? I would love to know from your experience to know what I might have an opportunity to actually do or live through, because I've seen your children, I've seen your sons be all-stars at all different levels and continue to do those things, and you being right there in the shadows the whole time, making sure that it's still all about them, and but still sharing in all the joys of what they've been able to create, and ultimately just trying to be like their dad, really, and also give a shout out to your wife and your father-in-law as well, who's also known as a great athlete.
I'm very lucky. I married well. I think one of the best things a man can do in this world is marry well.
Yes.
Marry the right person. And I was very blessed to have met Lisa, fallen in love and gotten married, and she's an incredible mom, an incredible wife. Hey, look, there's no like perfect textbook that teaches you how to be a dad. So thank you for being a dad who loves your kids and is there for them, because not everyone has that luxury. And so, my oldest two boys, Max and Christian, were barely old enough to remember the Super Bowl. So they remembered when I played and had that experience. I have two other sons, Dylan and Luke, who were a little too young to remember. When I retired, they were still too young to remember that I played. But they heard about it, and I think it's cool that they get to watch your film and are proud of you. Now, when they get older, they'll be making fun of you. That's where I am.
Okay. I was wondering, like...
Yeah, they'll be making fun of you. Like I was talking, someone brought up our 2 high school basketball championships, and my youngest son found a way to Google it and saw me throwing the ball out of bounds at the end of the game to lose the game. Like, where did you find that tape? In my memory, we won that game. And so they'll mess with you. But Lisa and I decided early on that we wanted to encourage our kids to follow their dreams and pursue whatever it is they wanted to pursue, as long as they were passionate about it, as long as they loved what they were doing. It didn't have to be football. We never signed them up for football. Mm-hmm. We waited for them to ask to play. And I thought it was important. I don't know. I know NFL players who won't even let their kids play football because they don't want them to have to live up to those expectations.
Right.
And it's tough, right?
It is.
If you're really successful in something, you live in that city, and then you're, a kid of a professional athlete has pressures, if they allow them to be pressures, that other kids don't have.
Right.
Right. They're always getting compared to someone. I didn't get compared to anybody. There were no pro athletes in my family. Whatever I accomplished was great because there were no expectations. But when, there might be added expectations for a kid of a pro athlete. So I don't even have Lombardi trophies at my house. I've been to the Super Bowl every year. I've never worn a ring. But I'm an empty nester now. My kids are grown up. They're playing in the NFL, and I am proud of the years that I had as a player, and they know about it for sure. But I never tried to add any undue pressure on what they were doing, and I supported them. It just happened to be that they all ended up playing football, which is crazy. I don't think it's that crazy, I guess. I mean, a lot of kids do follow in the footsteps of their fathers and have the similar passions. But I tried to always make sure they knew after every season that they could stop playing. Like, hey, once you commit, you're committed to your teammates and your coaches and your school. And then if you don't want to play at the end of the year, reassess. But you're not going to sit around and do nothing. Like, we weren't going to have the video game kids.
Yeah.
You're going to either, you can be part of STEM, you can get a job, you can play another sport, you can join a club, but you always have to be doing something. So find out what you love and chase your dreams and be the best at what you're doing. So that was my goal. But it is cool. I mean, they're playing with you on a video game and they're throwing you the ball. Oh, that's kind of cool. Now my kids are on their own video games, probably throwing the ball to themselves. But no, it's fun. Kids are a blessing. They're a blessing. And so enjoy it.
Thank you.
Yours are young. They will grow up. You will blink and they'll be all grown up.
I got one out of the house now, and
I think it's crazy when I see Talia.
Yeah, I have one out of
Still
the house
blows
now.
my
She's in
mind.
college. She's my hooper. She's my basketball player, and I, like you said, I have more joy watching her play basketball. Like, it is the coolest ever. I absolutely love it. It's the coolest thing.
Yeah.
I just sit back and just, man, that's like the first game. I was like, oh my God, this is. I pulled a roll.
Sweating it?
I got teary eyed. I was just like, oh man, is she in college? Like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Yeah, having more love for someone than you have for yourself,
Yeah.
wanting more for them than you want for yourself, is such just an unbelievable experience. Yeah. It's the miracle of being a parent.
Yeah, I think the coolest we do a little bit of research, and someone asked you your top 3 plays of your career.
Okay.
And you had just said something that made me think about it. I think that one of the coolest things about you in the 20 minutes that we've got to talk and us getting to know you is you are a very selfless guy. And out of the hundreds of plays that you've played in your career in the NFL, 2 of the 3 are about other people that don't even involve you. I think one was Rod Smith, Super Bowl 32.
Oh yeah.
He caught one. He ran a
33.
post.
Yeah.
33.
33,
Excuse me.
yep. Versus
He
the
caught a
Falcons.
post.
Yeah.
You said you knew it was over.
Yeah. Oh, I knew it was over. Yeah, the game was over on that play.
You said, it's good.
Yeah, I was so happy for Rod too, and I had great teammates, man. And
Yeah.
so my number 1 play, I don't even blink. It was Super Bowl 32 victory formation. John
Yeah,
Elway took
that
the
was.
knee.
I was going to
we
say
talked
that.
about that.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think about that play almost every day.
Yeah.
That play is in slow motion rewind for me every day of my life. And I'm dotting the V. I'm in the backfield behind John Elway. John Elway's gone to a couple Super Bowls and lost. The Denver Broncos have never won a Super Bowl.
Right.
And so I'm happy for myself. I mean, we're about to win this game, but at the same time, there is a chance that the nose guard, nose tackle slaps the ball and it's flopping around back there, right? That's the purpose of the guy being in the backfield in the victory formation.
You got to get the tackle.
So I'm back there, and I'm like, there's no way we're going to go out with some crazy kind of trick play where they slap the ball and score somehow. So I'm looking down at the ball, I'm looking up at the clock, I'm looking down at the ball, I'm looking up at the clock, and the pixelation on the scoreboard is in slow motion, just 3, 2, and it's like it's taken forever. That's how frozen in time I was in that moment.
Yeah.
I'm like, this clock is taken forever to tick down, and it's just frozen in time for me, looking up, looking down, and then the 1 is like just slowly pixelating to 0, and then John takes the knee and turns around, and he is laughing, crying, every emotion a human can feel, he is feeling in that moment, and I am right there, right behind him, first one that gets to celebrate with him after such a long journey for him to get there, and for our whole team, and also for everybody that rooted for the Denver Broncos, first Super Bowl in the history of the franchise. So I mean, I'm not kidding when I say I think about the play probably every day.
Yeah.
And by far my favorite play of my career.
Do you know what your third play was? You finally picked one.
No,
for
I
yourself.
do remember Super Bowl XXXIII. So there was a lot that went into that too. There's a lot of history, side stories. For instance, the head coach was John Elway's head coach before, so we're playing. And he was also my coach who cut me, so we're playing against him. So there was a lot going into that game for me personally, but also for John, Coach Shanahan. It was a big time rival, and we wanted to win so badly in so many different ways. And I also, Rod was a really good friend and a great teammate. And Rod, believe it or not, despite being a Ring of Famer and hopefully a Hall of Famer, one day he didn't catch a pass in Super Bowl XXXII. And he was the ultimate team player, but for as great of a player as he was, to not catch a pass, he sold out in the run game. We blocked. Terrell Davis was MVP. We were just running the ball all day, so we didn't throw the ball a lot. It was one of those games. Even John's best play was a run where he did the helicopter. And so, this was a big game for Rod too. It was a little bit of a redemption. Hey, we got back here. Now I'm going to make some play. And when I saw him take off on that post route and catch it and start running, I was right behind him watching him run to the end zone. I'm like, it is over. This is it, man. Like that, and it wasn't technically over, but in my mind, there's nothing that's going to stop us.
Well, I think it's so cool because I didn't know that he didn't catch a pass in Super Bowl XXXII. And so for him to open up and get that big, deep post round 33, that's why the emotions behind it, you're like, no, that's like my favorite because of how great friendships you were. You talked about these relationships you had with Rod Smith multiple times already. And then to see him on the biggest stage, get that big play that early in the game, set up, that's why you feel like special specifically.
It meant a lot to me.
Yes.
To see him experience that. And because we remember, we're two guys that climbed up through the ranks. He came off the practice squad. I signed with a new team. We were only getting in on run plays. We eventually competed and became starters. And then, I remembered the year before he didn't have a catch. And to watch him have such a big play and such a big moment, I was so happy for him. Mm-hmm. And that, one of the greatest things I think you can experience in sports is having teammates who you root for. Because there's some teams you might play for where it's very competitive. Maybe you don't love the room that you're in. Guys are competing for a job. Maybe it's not a friendly situation. But in this situation, I want it as much for him as I ever want it for myself. Because I came up through the ranks with him. I know how hard he worked to get to where he was, and he was completely selfless. He would do anything for the team. He was running down on kickoffs, breaking up wedges. When he first got to the Broncos, and he would do anything he could possibly do to help the team. And he was such an unselfish player that I rooted for him. Like when he scored, I scored. And so that was just such a great moment. But it was also, a momentous moment. Like when you have momentum in a game, you feel it shift. It's palpable. And that was one of the plays in that game where, oh my, I feel it now. Like there's nothing that's going to stop us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to start to get into some of your post-career stuff. And so after you retire, we all go through these moments. You have to try and, we do a lot more studies on it now than when you retired. I don't think we talked about NFL post-retirement as much as we do now. And that's why we're all here today. So I want you to talk about what you did when you stopped playing. I know you did some youth sports coaching. So you did some high school coaching. You also were at the University of Northern Colorado. I checked out your Ed McCaffrey website.
Okay.
Oh yeah. So
Good.
I saw the what do you call the Sports Eddie? Is that the youth camp that you guys do?
Yeah, we've been doing
Colorado?
Football. Man, I've had so much fun, and luckily I had a successful enough career and provided for my family so that I could do whatever I wanted to do when I retired. I tried to be smart with my money, as you know. It's tough when you first retire. Of course. You got to make sure you don't ruin the rest of your life the first couple of years after retirement. But I did a lot of different things. At first, I stepped away from football. I worked for a real estate company. We had private residence clubs all over the world, got to travel and stay in really cool resorts. And then, I started coaching my son, Max, with his little league team, mainly because the coach was a really good friend who lived in my neighborhood. But they also needed a little bit of help.
They need help, yeah.
Coaching, right? I mean, they were doing bull in the ring for like an hour. I'm like, dude, you're going to kill some kids out here. You need Oklahoma drill school, so it's bull in the ring. They're outlawed now, but that. But they were teaching toughness. I'll give them that. But I wanted to be around my family. My wife had made sacrifices. We had 4 boys. She made a lot of sacrifices when I was playing. You know how you're traveling on the road the whole fall. And I'm like, I want to experience some time with my kids. I want to coach them, hang out, be a part of their lives. And so I chose to do that and did different types of jobs for a while there, experimenting with other things, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I loved coaching and loved being around my family. experimented with the real estate company for a little while. And then, I realized maybe after 3-4 years that, I still love football, and so I got into broadcasting. I called the Broncos games for 5 years. That got me this ring, which was kind of cool. This is a media ring, but it's still a ring. I did that, but I always loved football, so I ran football camps. I've been doing it since the 90s, and we run camps for elite players. We run camps for boys and girls that have never played before. For 10 years, I did a Dare to Play football camp for young adults with Down syndrome. And it's just a way to bring people together through the sport of football.
Yes.
And let them have that experience. I didn't go to a lot of football camps when I was a kid, and I wish I did. And so I try to teach them the things that I wish I could have learned when I was young. So in addition to teaching them linear speed mechanics and change of direction, sports performance. We obviously teach them football. We're a non-padded camp, so nobody's going to get hurt or get hit. And we bring in former players to talk to them about life. And that's probably the most fun they have when the former players come in and talk to them and they get to ask them questions. But, it's football, family, and fun is what it's all about. And then, I coached at high school, had a lot of fun coaching high school. The high school coach stepped away and took a job somewhere else. So I stepped in for a couple of years and had so much fun coaching high school football. And we did well. We went undefeated, won a state championship, had a lot of fun.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Another ring?
Dude just wins.
I mean, just collecting
He
them.
just wins.
All I do is win no matter what.
That was a really good experience. And some of the players that I coach are in the NFL now, which is even more
Name
incredible.
one.
Roger Rosengarten, starting right tackle for the Baltimore Ravens.
Let's go.
Right. My son Luke plays for the Washington Commanders. There's a couple others that are still in college that might get a shot. Drake Nugent made the practice squad. He coached him in Little League. Yeah. He's on the 49ers practice squad, played center, won a national championship in Michigan. So, for me as a coach, the most rewarding thing you can experience is being able to create a bond with another human, a player that you coach that goes on that has success. And, they earned everything on their own, but just being able to witness them grow and mature and develop and have success of their own, it creates those bonds. So there's people that coached me and we still have those connections, and there's people that I coach. So the time frame is 30, 40 years of young people that play football that are now my kids' age that are in the NFL, and coaches that coached me that had retired 20 years ago. And it's just such an incredible family.
Yes.
You know how it is. It's a family. You guys have so many people that you would run into today. You might not have seen them in 10 years, but you have that shared experience. That's what it's like being a coach. That's the most rewarding part of being a coach. But I did that for a couple of years, then did it at the collegiate level for a couple of years. Elijah Dotson's the guy I got to coach, who is in Atlanta now as a running back, and he was with the Chargers for a while. Just a great human being and such a hard worker, and has literally worked his way. He's physically gifted, but worked his way into being an NFL player. And it just feels so good to have had some kind of small part in their development. But then, as of a couple of years ago, I retired. And I still love going to watch my kids play. You know how it is, like you have when you get all emotional watching your daughter?
Yeah.
Man, I get that way too. I have no control over what's going to happen. I can't have any effect on the game. I'm not coaching them. I don't even know what, I watch their film, but I don't know what they're installing in terms of their plays. And but they're still my kids, so I'm still watching them like they're playing Little League, and I like going to their games.
Yeah,
so because I like coaching too, but I watch all the film. I watch all the Commanders film. I watch all the 49ers film. My oldest son Max coaches in Miami. I watch their film, and I get to talk to them about football, which is cool. So I get my football fix that way, and I do a show on Sirius XM NFL Radio, so I get to follow all the NFL games and watch them. So that's my football fix. But professionally, I had a brand of food products that I launched in the 90s.
Okay.
Spicy brown mustard, horseradish sauce.
What was the name? What was the name of the
McCaffrey's Rocky Mountain Mustard.
Okay.
And it's been selling since the 90s. But I have a really good business partner who basically ran the company. So we came up with our food products, and over the years we had a cereal, we had mac and cheese. But when you're a player, you're leveraging off your popularity and your success at the time. But the reason the mustard is sold for over 25 years is it's a really good quality product. Our manufacturers were in business making mustard for over 100 years, and they're a generational family, and they make a really good product. So people buy it now. They know me either as Christian or Luke's dad at this point, or the mustard guy. But recently, I really wanted to learn more about the business. So I'm learning about how we manufacture our products. Yeah. I'm learning about shipping and margin and the retailers that we deal with and warehousing, and and just everything about the business. And so once I kind of took over the mustard business for about a year when my business partner had to step aside, he ended up, as fate would have it, healing up. He had a health issue, healing up, and came back, and I hired him back to help me run our mustard company. And we got along so well, and I was putting so much more time into it, learning this new business, that we decided to launch another product. And we just this week launched McCaffrey protein bites. So you can find it on McCaffreybrands.com.
Okay.
And it's, man, I hope you try some. I think you'll like them. But it's a super healthy, not gluten-free, non-GMO snack that you can eat. So you guys know you guys are still in pretty good shape, by the way.
Fudge brownie, right?
appreciate it.
I'm definitely going to have some.
So
of
number
these.
one, it has to taste good.
That's the one thing. If
You guys have probably tried every bar and supplement out there, and so many of them taste like cardboard or the heel of your shoe. And you're like, I know it's healthy, but I can't eat this. I can't do it, right? Like, and you can't carry around, like I talked to some NFL players, they have chefs, right? I didn't have a chef when I played.
Me neither.
But they had like Tupperware full of chicken cubes, and their chef makes them all this food. If you can do that, great, do that. But most of us, it's like we're not going to have a chef make us food to carry with us throughout the day. So how can you come up with a healthy snack that's good for everybody? For your daughter, for you, for your kids, right? They can eat it. It's super healthy for you, and it has protein in it. And a lot of even kids don't get enough protein. Your protein levels are based off your activity level and your weight for the most part. But they're delicious. They had to taste good. So chocolate chip cookie dough, fudge brownie, birthday cake.
Oh, birthday cake.
They
That's for
taste
the
like
kids.
a treat, but they're good for you. So I mean, I started using spicy brown mustard because I used to eat super healthy, like turkey sandwiches every day, non-fat turkey burgers, chicken. And after a while, you're eating the same thing all the time, and it's getting bland. I'm like, I got to do something to add some flavor to this healthy food. So the mustard was all about making good food taste better and making healthy food taste better. And the protein bites are about creating a healthy snack for everybody.
Yeah.
So these are for kids that play Little League. They're for moms in the car driving carpool. They're for athletes, pro athletes who want something like 20 minutes before a game. It's like, look, pregame meal was too long ago. I'm a little bit hungry. I need a little bit of fuel, easily digestible. You could have them as a halftime snack right after a game to get some protein intake so you recover better. So they're really for everybody. And it took like over a year to come up with something that tasted good, because the more protein you add, the more it affects the taste.
Yeah.
Right.
And you don't want to put cane sugar in there or unhealthy ingredients or preservatives. So to come up with a super healthy snack that tastes great, that everybody enjoys, was not easy. There was a lot of people involved with being able to put this product out to market. But I'm really proud of it. I'm really excited about it. And thank you for mentioning
I'm
it.
excited.
Can we have those?
Yes, they are yours.
Okay.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay, good.
They are yours.
I
And
gotta give
anybody, right now they're online at McCaffreybrands.com, but we're going to be in Dick's Sporting Goods, and we're going to be in Shields, and we're going to be in Kroger stores, which is King Soopers in Colorado.
What's Shields? I ain't never heard of Shields.
Yeah, it's a really big outfit in the Midwest mostly.
Okay.
Yeah, but they have food, they have athletic equipment. Yeah, and they're probably, I want to say there's 27 of them.
Yeah.
But they're really giant superstores located mostly in the Midwest.
Okay. Life looks like it has been treating you well. You look like you have so much joy. We ask this question to a lot of our guests that are on.
Hold on. I gotta get this question in before you.
Why is it that I ask questions and you always
I knew
interrupt me?
it was gonna happen.
I never interrupt you. I just let you go. You do not
But I
know
knew
how
you
to
were
read
going,
this.
and I don't want to go.
How long have you guys
there
been
yet.
doing this show together, man? It's
Like,
about
he
20 years?
He
20
does
years
this
together?
all the time.
I'm not gonna
He
go.
steps on my. I never step on his shoes. I never step on it.
He's not lying. He's not lying.
He,
I'm not
he
calling
takes
him a
my
liar.
questions. I let it ride. I flow with it. Trying to be the good teammate. Trying to be selfless. Just trying to hey, I want it for him. I want him to shine. Let him get his reps. And then I will come up with this dope ass question. The way I phrase it, I'm thinking about it. I got my inner Oprah Winfrey in me, and I'm just like, I can say this thing. And he's like, no, we're not doing. I'm like,
It's gonna
ask your
come
question,
back.
man.
Thank
Ask your
you.
question. I
Thank you.
quit.
Because
I quit.
I think this is it's going to be the second best question you're going to get.
Okay.
Because I think the one that Peanut has in store is going to be off the charts. But as a father, your son, Christian, I've heard him talk about different ways how you helped raise him. Let me write them down, from telling him that squinting during the day was wasting energy, so he don't squint in the sun. Okay, wearing jeans too heavy on your legs, son. Like, I need you to be more comfortable on game day. getting IVs in the middle of the day. The workouts, we know about the workouts, the linear running, all these other things that you were very, very in tune with. Bedtime, 7:30, strict, ready to go. No phone, get it. All of these things, like going into you as being a father and being impactful, all those things, despite all that, he says the best thing that you ever taught him was how to handle adversity, the mentality, the mental toughness that you instilled in him as a young man. How do you do that in today's generation for like my son? How do you continue these trends and teach our young people this? Because I think for me, that is the real superpower that you instilled in your children.
Yeah, well, the news of my parenting is greatly exaggerated. I'll say that about Christian. First of all, I don't think they were home from practice at 7:30. But look, I've learned over the years, I'm not for everybody.
Yeah.
I probably, not every kid probably would have resonated with my parenting style. I'm not afraid to admit that. I got the reputation as being one of the more strict parents, but I loved my kids and I wanted them to grow up as good people who respected other people, who did things the right way. And so, some of I don't remember the squinting thing. I know he mentioned that. And if I knew that he was going to repeat everything I said, I might have been more careful with what I told him. But
it worked.
But yeah, he's a great kid. I'm lucky. I mean, he's a great kid. He's a student of life, not just of the game. And he is a super hard worker who always wants to be the best. He's very conscientious of other people. He really cares what other people think. And he's such a loyal friend and teammate. So he made it pretty easy to raise him, honestly. But I did want the best for him. So whatever knowledge I had, I tried to share with him. Was I right all the time? Probably not. As parents, we try our best, man. I'm sure we're going to mess up, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm no different. And kids will be quick to point it out if you messed up too. They'll grow up old enough to remember and then remind you about what you said and did. But I want him to be his best. The IV thing, I do have an interesting story about the IV thing. So there was one game, like in high school, he didn't come off the field. So it's offense, defense, and special teams. So, you're playing the whole game. And there was a couple of night games where, you remember high school? You go to school, you're in school all day, stand on your feet, going to class. You never go home. Then you probably don't eat right, and you're probably dehydrated. Mm-hmm. It's hot in the beginning of the summer when you play your first game. And then you go out and play a game on Friday night. And so I remember him cramping up one game, and he had to come out of the game for cramping up. And it's not surprising he probably didn't really have a real dinner or drink enough fluids during the day. So I'm like, okay, only on night games we should probably give you an IV. And he took an IV before one of his night games and played out of this world. And so you know how that is too, psychologically. You're like, okay, I got the IV and had one of the best games of my career. And so in the beginning it was only for night games. But then after a while, he's like, hey, maybe I should get an IV for this big game that's on a Saturday afternoon. And even though I wasn't sure he needed it, I'm not going to step in the way of somebody thinking that it's going to help him.
You're the same guy that cut jerseys.
Yeah. So he would get the IV. But, the placebo effect is a real deal, too. I do think IVs help you, especially in hot weather. But if you think they help you, they definitely help you. So there was this one game at the end of the year that was a state championship game. And you probably didn't need an IV for that game because it was on a Saturday and it was not that hot out. It was cold at the end of the year in Colorado. But he wanted to get it, and I'm not about to not get him the IV before a state championship game. But normally we go to a doctor's office to get the IV in a controlled setting, but the doctor was out of town. So we're like, we got to get an IV somewhere. Nowadays there's IVs like in a mall. You can get IVs anywhere. They'll come to your house. But back then, you still had to look for a place to get an IV. So we just go to like a nurse practitioner's office in a strip mall to get an IV, and it's just saline solution. It's nothing special. And they go to give it to him, and I'm like on my phone, not paying attention. It's pretty routine. Just get the IV and let's get out of here. And he's like, hey, Dad. And I look over, and his arm is swelling up like a bubble because they didn't hit the vein when they put the IV in, and it was just fluid going under his skin. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So I call the nurse practitioner, and she runs and takes out. It's like, don't worry about it. I'm panicking because I'm like, they have a state championship in a few hours. And she starts pushing down on it to get the fluid out of there. And so I'm thinking, it'll be all right. Don't worry about it. In the meantime, I'm panicking a little bit. I'm like, I've never seen that happen before.
Right.
But he's going to be okay. She says it's fine. It's just fluid. It'll dissolve or evaporate. And so then she goes to do it again. And this time she hits the vein. And I kid you not, blood squirted up to the ceiling. I don't know what happened, but she hit it in a way, and now I'm really starting to panic. And so eventually I'm like, you know what, we're good. It's good. We're good. We're just going to leave. No big deal. Thanks for trying. And we leave, and he's flush because he's like, what just happened? Blood squirted up to the ceiling. Put a Band-Aid on there. Start walking out to the car, and I'm like, you know what, man? It's Gatorade's fine. Just drink some Powerade or some Gatorade, and you'll be fine. And he's like, he looks at me. Then what have I been getting these IVs all this time for? But I didn't know what else to say. Anyway, he had a great game. Long story short, but I was panicking. I started thinking I really have a big time parent fail going on right now if this affects him in this game. But he played fine. Anyway,
I like
that's
your
my
approach. You try to
story.
keep him calm. He's like, "Oh my God, what I say? Yeah, I probably would have did the same thing."
Yeah.
When you're the parent, you got to keep calm, even though
Absolutely.
we're freaking out on the inside.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They can't let the kids see us sweat.
Yeah. And also, like, you get into a routine, and there are things that are beneficial. Like my wife Lisa used to always mix up some form of like Powerade and coconut water and like mix it up. And she'd make this healthy drink for him, and she'd run it down to him on the sideline, and they'd drink it and they'd feel good. So, I mean, hydration's a real thing. You got to stay hydrated, especially when it's hot. But there's also something to your routine. I don't know. You guys probably had a routine, right? There's certain things
Crazy
you did
routine. Yeah,
before every game. And so I think those things matter. Like if for no other reason than to have you mentally clear and feeling
Mental
confident
all
that
day.
this is my routine, right?
Yeah.
What was your routine?
I didn't eat before games. I would eat a really big meal before, like crazy pasta the night before.
Right.
And then I'd wake up super early. I would listen to my audiobook of Earl Nightingale, and it talked about like mental toughness. And then I would sit there and visualize myself punching out footballs or whatever. And then I would walk over to the stadium. I'd get over there super early. And then I would get taped by the same person. Then I'd wait for Lance Briggs to come, and we'd go do our routine. And then someone would help me put my pads on, and I would go in my little corner and just meditate and pray and on the field. And I just, that was kind of like my thing.
I know you had a routine too.
I did. I definitely ate before the game. But I learned early in my career that cramping is unprofessional because you truly can prevent it.
Yeah.
If you just drink and do the right things. So I was always extremely hydrated. Most of my routine was listen to the same music, which was "Can We Talk" by Tevin Campbell.
Great song.
Great song.
Great song.
It doesn't get a lot of people fired up, but
Written by Babyface. Thomas
it
is laughing back
It
there.
is my jam.
Oh
so
my God.
That was
I
my jam.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was my jam. And then one Toradol, one muscle relaxer, and then a couple sparks to get
You
me
had
back
me at
going.
Toradol.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention I take the Toradol too.
Yeah.
The old school Toradol. You know how those go. Yeah, old school Toradol.
One muscle relaxer, then a couple sparks to make sure I offset the downs with the ups.
Did you eat the same way when you were like a rookie as you did later in your career?
No, not
you
at all.
got more nervous when you were younger, right?
Yeah, I way more nervous.
Yeah.
But by the time I was older, I had it all like, I'm
Right.
good. I knew what
You
I
had
was
a
eating.
system.
I had a system. I trusted it. But it's like you said, the more and more you do these things, you actually start getting more maniacal about it. You lay your jersey out the same way. You do these. It starts to get a little bit repetitive. We're nowhere near as bad as baseball players, but
It helps with your mental though.
Yeah,
think
it
it
does.
It helps you settle down and get to a place of calmness and ready to go to battle.
Yeah, and it's less decisions you have to make,
yes.
right? It's like I already know what I'm doing game day. I don't even have to think about it. No new
Yeah.
decisions. I'm going to eat the same thing, I'm going to dress the same way, go through the same routine, and that's just less things to think about so you can focus on the game. But eating is a big issue. I remember we used to have so many offensive linemen that would be puking before the game. Like a lot of the young guys especially, they get so nervous, and they eat a lot. They're guys that have to try to maintain their weight, and they would always get sick before games. And then it's funny because some of those same guys 4 or 5 years later weren't getting sick anymore, but in the beginning they get really nervous, and it's difficult to eat the right amount and the right foods and not have it upset your stomach. It's honestly one of the main reasons I came up with these protein bites, because like when you're playing sports, it's hard to eat steak and eggs too soon before a football game,
Right.
and go out and play and have it not sit in your stomach. At the same time, you need fuel.
Yes.
It's hard. You get hypoglycemic, you run out of energy, and you want to perform at your best. So how do you eat something that's easily digestible and not a bonk or run out of energy and still
Right.
perform at a high level. But I used to lean towards what you did. I couldn't eat too much before a game, but I remember like about halftime, I'm like, man, I gotta
Starving.
I gotta eat something. But I
Oranges.
wanted to feel light, going back to wanting to feel light. But at the same time, I didn't want to run out of energy. So it was a real challenge. So, I learned over time to start eating a bite or two of a bar or something that I could digest without feeling sick. I saw Jerry Rice one time eat a hot dog at halftime. I'm like, how's he eating a hot dog at halftime? And then going out and catching, I think he set a record that day. He caught a touchdown against the Raiders. It was some kind of record. He set a lot of them. And I'm like, he just ate a hot dog at halftime, then went out and caught a touchdown and set some kind of record. How does he do it? But then that's another thing I learned from him. I'm like, look, I'm not gonna eat a hot dog. I'll puke, but I gotta eat something at halftime because it's a long 3.5 hour game.
Yes, it is.
That's a long, you eat your pregame meal a couple hours before the game, you're going 5, 6, 7 hours with no food. And you can do it, but it's just hard. So I found it's better if you can, and some people do you might have drinking a liquid that gave you some calories, which is easier to digest.
A little spark.
Right.
Love this.
And so, but I think for athletes, staying properly fueled, properly hydrated is so incredibly important. And those are things you can control.
Yeah. So my last question, don't step on my toes.
Here we go.
Mr. Harper, you've had tremendous success on the field, off the field, family, product, mustard, the bites, the protein bites. Who is on your personal Mount Rushmore? And you get to pick 4.
Oh, wow. I got to pick a Mount Rushmore?
You got to pick a personal Mount Rushmore.
Oh, man. My personal Mount Rushmore are my 4 kids, man. Max, Christian, Dylan, and Luke. That's my Mount Rushmore.
That's
Those are
awesome.
the people that I love and that matter to me. But I mean, I play with so many Hall of Famers and great players.
It's tough. It's tough. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to only pick 4.
Yeah, it's tough because then I'll make enemies of some of my really good friends if they don't make it. One that you'll never argue with is John Elway. He belongs on there, right? And then I've played with so many other Hall of Famers just on the Broncos alone.
Yeah.
But I'll say one that no one will argue with. John Elway is a Mount Rushmore. He's the greatest Denver Bronco to ever play the game, greatest quarterback. I had so much fun with him. He's a great person and was obviously a legendary football player. Yeah.
That's all we got.
Yeah.
Yeah. Appreciate you, man.
No doubt,
Coming
man.
on the podcast.
Thank you for
I've
having me.
learned
And again, it's an
a
honor.
great deal
Yeah.
from just talking and asking these questions. And you blessed us. So I appreciate that. We appreciate
Well,
that.
you guys had phenomenal careers. I watched you guys play a lot of football games, man, and you
Thanks,
guys played
sir.
it the right way. So it's a real honor for me to be sitting down here, and I still have that teach tape. I'm sure many people have sent you that teach tape.
Like I said before, he travels. So if
Yeah.
you ever need him to come on out, we can put him on a plane for you too. That's easily done. And Ed, man, thanks so much, man. Always been such a big fan of yours. Everything you've been able to do as a career on and off the field and what you continue to bless the world with, man. Thank you so much for coming and spending your time and your day with us. We really, really appreciate it. So thank you for
Oh,
that.
it's an honor. Thank you.
No doubt, man. No doubt. All right. Well, first of all, me and Peanut want to thank all of our listeners and everybody that views us wherever you're picking up your podcast, whether it's Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio app. Continue to give us shout outs, give us 5-star rating, give us a review, leave a comment. Make sure you subscribe, like.
Share, follow,
That's
and
it.
tell a friend.
Yeah, and tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Appreciate that, Ed. And thank you guys for always having us. Peanut, get us out of here, dog.
Don't forget, you can watch us on our NFL YouTube page.
It's the new one.
I got you. I got you. I'm here.
Yes.
I'll be Robin this time.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Look, we appreciate y'all tuning in. I'm Peanut Tillman. That's Roman Harper. White Lightning, Ed McCaffrey. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Thanks.